All right, welcome to the Rebel Walk Recruiting Show. I am your host, Stephen Willis. I'm here with Leanne Herring. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff today, including a kid that is going to announce shortly. We're going to get to that in just a second. Before we get started, real quick, Leanne, how's things going?
Things are going good. Looks like it could be another strong, solid week for the Ole Miss Rebels against on the defensive side of the ball with committing Jacarius Clayton today from Tupelo, a big target that Randall Joyner's been doing. He has us on his top two along with Arizona State, so he's set to commit at 6:30 tonight. So this could be a huge pickup for the Ole Miss Rebels today.
What do you know about Jacarius? What does he bring to the table?
Well, he's another one of those versatile players. Started out as a tight end, which later he moved to a DE, and that's where they're going to keep him. He decommitted from Mississippi State on June 17th, and the next day he was at Ole Miss, and primarily because State was recruiting him as an O-line. And when you talk to Clayton, he's knows and he's going to tell you that he's a born and bred D lineman, and that's where he's most comfortable. There was a lot of other schools that were looking after him, but like I said, he's got a great versatile skill set. He's got great length. He's definitely got stronger, and he's improved so much on coming off the ball a lot faster. So I think this is another kid, like I said, going with size and speed, and another strong addition to the defense if we get him tonight. And like I said, he's a consistent pass rusher and he's an explosive playmaker. So Randall Joyner has been doing a heck of a job on the recruiting trail, getting these key players and keeping them in the state of Mississippi.
Yeah, and just a heads up to everybody, Jacarius does not have video on Huddle. We would have video playing otherwise. But that's a situation we are in. What's going on over in Tupelo? This used to be a Mississippi State hotbed, and now all of a sudden Ole Miss is making some waves.
Well, like I said, it's just like when you get a kid wants to play a certain position. And I think that was the biggest downfall of them losing Clayton, because when Clayton reannounced his top five, it included Oregon, who was recruiting him, and another player we're going to talk about, the top JUCO OT, was recruiting him and Clayton very hard with Oregon. And then he also had, like I said, Arizona State, he had Indiana, he had Memphis, and of course Ole Miss is his top. And I think it's just because a lot of the time right now that's going on, players want to go and they want to make an instant impact. And I think that's been one of the selling points that Joyner has been able to make to the defensive side of the ball, because it's something like we've been talking about on the first show that we've needed to build quickly and immediately. So landing a player, like Jacarius Clayton today is going to be huge for the defense because he can make an immediate impact. Like I said, he's 6'6", 6'6.5", 275 pounds, 3-star kid. Like I said, also plays basketball. So we know that he's got quick feet, he's got solid hands. And like I said, he's just from his sophomore transferring from a tight end to really building as a defensive end. He's had great improvement. And like I said, he's going to be an explosive playmaker once Randall Joyner, Partridge and Watson, all that defensive staff that we've put together and help develop him if we land him tonight. And I have a good feeling about that, especially, like I said, we're going to go head to head with Arizona State, but I think Joyner and the rest of the staff at Ole Miss have been doing a very, very great job at recruiting this kid.
Yeah, very impressive from Randall Joyner and Marquise Watson and those guys on the defensive line. That seems to be the position that we're making waves on the recruiting trail at the moment. Let's talk a little bit about the 2023s. That was the original goal of the show to begin with, the 2023s. Talk a little bit about a couple of high-profile kids from the Texas area that are kind of looking Ole Miss's way.
Exactly. I know a lot of people think, we haven't even signed 2022, and why are we thinking about 2023s? But anybody knows in this recruiting world, you cannot sleep. And so we have two really talented players out of the state of Texas. The first one I'm going to talk about is out of Del Valle. Four-star wide receiver Braylon James. He's 6'3", 175. He's the number 18 wide receiver in the class of 2023, and he's the number 23 player in the state of Texas. He's currently being coached by a name that we probably know in the high school football circuit, former IMG coach Bobby Acosta. He led IMG Academy last year to the national championship. Del Valle wanted to change their culture and pick this up, and it's done a great, tremendous thing, like I said. And this kid, he really stepped up his sophomore year, had 42 receptions for 442 yards, 7 touchdowns. I think what really was a turning point when people started to really take more look at Braylon James, like I said, right now he has 32 offers and was during the Under Armour camp this past March. He's got great length, speed mixed with elite ball skills. And what I like about him is his natural ability at this position. He's really physical, but he's really comfortable. And he's very, very fast, but he's also very hard to cover, which is something that we want in the explosive Lebby Kiffin offense that we run. And, everybody can have that elite speed, those elite ball skills and everything that it takes to be a great wideout. But the thing about this kid, let's dissect him a little more. And what I really like about him is those little nuances. And it's that ability to separate himself from being great to an elite receiver. Like I said, he's got great hands. He easily is able to catch the ball when it comes to first, second downs. Nobody's going to touch him. But what really sets this kid apart is during those third down situations when you have to convert to the goal line, when he becomes real crucial and you have to score, and the ability to adjust your posture to be able to get what I like to call that bread basket handle on it. And that's exactly what makes those elite receivers. And this kid, James, has it. He has that bread basket catch. It's going to be very hard. Once he gets a hold of that ball, it's not going anywhere. And it's going to take a lot of defenders to get off of him. And like I said, he's a very athletic kid. He's going to win those backfield battles, and he's going to win the battles, and he's going to win the war with his athleticism, his speed, mixed with his elite ball skills. And like I said, right now he currently holds Arkansas, Florida, UGA, LSU, A&M, Tennessee, and South Carolina as far as SEC offers. And like I said, there's going to be coming more. He's been making, some unofficials, to, the California area and everything. And this is a kid that we haven't offered, but just when you see him in person, you look at his film and you look at his natural ability at the wideout position, and you look at how it would fit, kind of perfectly with what, like I said, Coach Kiffin and what Lebby like to run, so this is somebody that I think that would be a good person, a good target, for the 2023 class, who's very interested in coming to see what's going on in Oxford.
Yeah, he's a very smooth player. You look at the film, the first name that comes to mind is Laquan Treadwell.
Exactly.
Yeah, he looks a lot like him on the football field, and you can tell he's playing at a very, very high level.
Exactly. And like you said, he's just got smooth elite ball skills. He's very comfortable in that position. But even though he's got this great fluidity with his speed, he's very physical. And he's, like I said, he's going to win those backfield battles, and he's going to win those wars mixed with all those things. And I think getting him in the right situation, because the way we develop our, on our offensive players, he really could even burst out. Like I said, he's already a 4-star. He's got elite things about him, but taking it to the next level, that's something that I think that, a school like Ole Miss. So that's a name that I want to, kind of put in there to get on that Rebel radar. Like I said, he's very interested in coming to see what's going on in Oxford.
Yes. And also there's a potential 5-star that might be looking in Ole Miss's direction.
Yes, exactly. Out of El Campo, Texas, also known as the Black Unicorn. And believe me, he more than lives up to his name. He's got elusive speed. Ruben Owens. He's the overall number 24 overall player in the class of 2023, number 24. He's the number 2 running back in the country for the class of 2023, and he's the number 4 player in the state of Texas. So he's already an elite player. Like I said, he's got elusive speed. He's swift. Like I say, by the time this kid gets the ball in his hand, he's going to be in that backfield loose, and it's very difficult to catch him. Like I said, he was a strong commit to Texas for a very long time. Like I said, when I became aware of this kid and I saw him, it's one of those kids you secretly hope, that might reopen their commitment, because you want them to look at other schools, and you want them to look at a school like Ole Miss because of their fit and how their natural abilities and their talents. So he decommitted from Texas on June 17th. And so now he's 100% open to his recruitment. And like I said, some very close sources have told me that he's very interested and would like to also come visit and see what the SIP is about. Talking a little bit about, going back to his technical skills. And like I said, he was a strong commitment to the Texas Longhorns. But even though he's decommitted from them, they're still very much in the running. Like I said, and he's also got 30 other teams looking to get him. But let's get back. Like I said, he's got those typical things. He's got that size, that strength, and that speed. But when you talk about the running back position, you got to have a lot of other qualities that not everybody has, especially to run in the kind of offense that we do. And some of the questions, I was thinking about, what makes a good running back, what makes an elite running back in the Ole Miss setup that we have here. Can he fit an explosive backfield, that spreads the ball like Kiffin does? Can he be spot on and be able to read blitzes? Can he run a hitch route? Can he catch outside? All these are questions that you need to ask, because these are kind of things that a running back at this level has to have. And I say a strong yes for a kid like Ruben Owens. I would like to see him put in more what I like to call pass catch scenarios and get more extended opportunities to see his progress and everything. Last season he rushed for 1,500 yards and 22 rushing touchdowns. And I think what really would make a dream scenario, like I said, we're still not sure on the direction of Arch Manning's recruitment, but of course Ole Miss fans are always interested in that. But I think there's a huge connection already with Ruben Owens at the Texas camp. There was one of the most perfect passes and connections from Arch Manning to Ruben Owens, aka the Black Unicorn. And like I said, this kid, he also is a long jumper, and he also runs the 100-meter in 11. I believe it was 11:13 was his time. And like I said, we haven't offered him yet. He holds over 30 offers: Bama, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, Georgia State, Mississippi State, and A&M. And so he's made unofficials to Bama, LSU, and Texas A&M. Like I said, another Texas kid with elite talent. And like I said, there's just, when you see him on his film and when you see him in person, there's just this thing about him. He's just already at that level where you know that he's just going to be another natural playmaker that you can develop. If he's already at this point right now, if you get him in the right system. And like I said, we've seen how Ole Miss is able to do that on the offensive, and what an explosive thing. You want explosive playmakers like Braylon James, like Ruben Owens, because of how quickly we operate. And I think that these are two players that we really want to look at. Like I said, a 4 and a 5-star at this level for the class of 2023 that's interested in your program. An opportunity, I think, is something that, that would be in a good, like I said, interest for the Ole Miss Rebels, especially with that, taking that offense to the next level, which,
Yeah, exactly. Two things that come to mind immediately watching that kid's film. First, he looks just like Jerry and Ely. I could be watching Jackson prep film from 2 years ago.
Exactly.
The second thing is, in Kiffin's offense, what he wants to have is a position he calls an offensive weapon. It's about a versatile player that can line up in all areas, similar to Reggie Bush, similar to Ely, and this kid absolutely fits that bill.
Exactly. And a lot of the times we don't talk about the running back position, but like you said, like you said with Ely and all these people, you have to have those players that you don't coach them. You just develop them. They're almost ready to go. And Owens is at that level already. And same thing with Ely. Like you said, you want those explosive playmakers that you can bring out. And they definitely are at that level already, both James and Owens.
All right, let's move on to 2022. Let's talk about some potential flips coming down the line. I hear there's a little bit of a case being made for a flip potentially down in Columbia.
Yeah, Jaham Otis is somebody that once again, another person that Joyner has gone very, very strong for, has strong ties for. Right now, he's a hard commit to Bama. Bama offered him in 8th grade, so of course he's had a very strong relationship. a beast, 6'4", 350. I know that some have him at 6'5", 370, but nonetheless, he's a beast. I believe he's the number 11 D-line, and then Mississippi number 3. He made an unofficial to Ole Miss on June 23rd, like I said. So even though he was a hard commit to Bama, he still made that last-minute run because, like I said, Joyner's done a really good job in the recruitment. Last year, he had some monstrous record, stats with 68 tackles, 18 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recovery. I think it was 3 fumble return recoveries. Anyway, like I said, he's known as the beast, and he's another mammoth kid that we need on that line. He's got size and strength. He's like a freight train, and he's towering, and he's got quick speed, and his frame is also just built to be able to be a beast on that line. Like I said, when you see this kid, you see what he's doing. He's got long arms. He's got heavy hands. He's going to push through that line. He's going to break through that line. Like I said, he's got size. He's got so many different things, those little details that make a difference on having a defensive line. I think we talked about it in the first round, that the defensive line has really lacked this just towering size. When you just have those guys that just step out in the field and they're intimidating. And that's what a kid like Jaham Otis is. And this would be a huge flip for the Ole Miss Rebels, and it would be a huge gain for the defensive side and the defensive line.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of real similar to Xavier Harris, what we call basically a dancing bear. The agility is off the charts, especially for somebody that big.
Exactly. And we see him playing, and a lot of the time, what we've seen from his film and everything, we see him playing a lot of the outside, the 2 gaps, but I think we're going to see him develop into more of an interior guy. And I think he's going to be a really explosive D-line player in the interior part of the line.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Let's move on to Houston North Shore. I think that's where Zach Evans last year was from, correct?
Yeah, and this is, again, another Texas tie, another Joyner kid, another hard commit to the University of Texas that Joyner has had a strong relationship with. This is a name that we've kind of heard in the circles, Christopher Ross, like you said, out of North Shore, that could be a big, huge possible flip to Ole Miss. He's a 4-star. He is the number 36 D-line and number 44 player in Texas. 6'3", 280. He made an unofficial, I think it was June 18th, and then Ole Miss had offered around February. Like I said, once again, Joyner and these Texas ties, he's already built a relationship with Christopher Ross because, of course, Joyner was at SMU. So this has been a really strong push for being able to land not only just, Texas kids, but some of these flips that we're going to hear more about. What I like about this kid is he's another quick player. He's always good at pursuing plays down the field. He sees his target and he's going to go after it until he gets it. And he's great at he's a strong interior player. Like I said, another great kid with size. It plays well on the inside. He's got great athleticism. And he's going to be one of those kids that you can use in every situation. You can use him on, as a pass rush, those 3rd and longs when you're, and those bigger rundown plays. So this is another versatile lineman that can do a lot of things for that line at different positions. And that, it goes back to, once again, keeping that line fresh, creating that depth. And that's just what I like about a kid like Christopher Ross. He can play it all. And he's very good at being consistent in all these positions. And like I said, he plays well on the inside, but you can put him in any situation on the D line and he's going to excel, and he's going to be a playmaker, and he's going to make sure that he does what his assignment is.
Yeah, and he's got the size and the ability and the agility to play anywhere on the defensive front, from a 3-4 defensive end to a 3 technique. So some versatility, and versatility is the name of the game with this defense.
And I think that's kind of been the pattern that we've been talking about between the first and the show. In this show is the defensive line is being size, speed, but most of all versatile players. 2 of the players that we've talked about, they've gone from playing both sides of the ball. They've gone from being tight ends to defensive ends. So that, like I said, it goes back to getting those playmakers on your defensive line that, of course, have size, but they're also quick and they're also versatile. So that's what like we said, a player like Christopher Ross would be another huge flip for our D line, and something we need. Like I said, we need to build on these versatile players that we can put them in any position, and they're going to be consistent on that line.
Also, there's a kid right now. Also, we're going to move on from North Shore right there. That's a rough transition. Sorry about that. We're going to move into the Mississippi Junior College ranks with just a massive offensive tackle commit to Oregon at the moment. Tell me a little about him.
Percy Lewis, and we've talked a little bit about him. Salis, Mississippi native. We offered him June 1st, and like you said, Oregon has been coming really hard in the state of Mississippi as far as recruiting players. Oregon was also, coming after Jacarius Clayton, and they've also landed 2 other Mississippi kids in the last 2 recruiting cycles, Trey Benson and Isaiah Brevard. So Percy Lewis is, like I said, hard commit. He's a number 1 overall JUCO player, not just at the OT position, but as a number 1 overall player in the state of Mississippi in JUCO. He's built really strong ties to Oregon, but he's also built really strong ties to, us, and he can play both ways. He played at McAdams, another kid who went from being a tight end to DT. He, when he was at McAdams, he had 90 tackles, 5 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and he didn't have many. He was another kid. He's one of those kids you didn't hear about. He was not on the radar at high school. He went the JUCO route, and now he's got some big offers, and we're hoping that he's going to choose to stay, at home because, like I said, he brings a lot. He's just naturally gifted, and of course, his colossal frame. He's at 6'8", 360. He's got great power. He's got great quickness. So it's going to be really interesting to see when he gets in the weight room, when he gets in those little things, and he puts them together in the Ole Miss offense, if we can land him, how his technique will develop, and like I said, he's got a lot of great things, but like you said, playing at a JUCO level, then to the transition, but he's another player that we can build upon. And I think that's what's appealing about a kid like Percy Lewis, especially on the offensive line. We've been talking a lot about the size and the speed on the defensive end of the front, but we also got to remember we need colossal guys to protect a QB like Matt Corral, and Percy Lewis is one of those kids. Like I said, he's just got a towering frame, he's got power, he's got good quickness, and he's just got a natural ability to be able to be this raw talent and a beast on the O-line. He's another kid that you can put in several positions on the O-line, and he's going to be that go-to player, and he's going to make plays that are going to make a huge impact quick.
Yeah, one thing that I am looking forward to, if he for some reason would flip, is a Xavier Harris versus Percy Lewis one-on-one pass rush drill. I want to see 2 6'8" guys just going at it in the trenches.
Exactly. And a lot of the players that we've talked about, like I said, in these first 2 shows, they have played both ways. So it's very interesting to see when you have a player who knows the defensive side and they've transitioned to offense or vice versa. Like I said, a tight end transferring DT at this frame. So it's like you said, that Xavier Harris, Percy Lewis matchup. Those are going to be those interesting things, in the offseason. But like I said, another building block if we land a kid like Percy Lewis. And I think that's kind of been the theme, is kids that we can develop. They may not be the kids that we know about, but when you mix them with the 3 stars, the 4 stars, the 5 stars, and they fit, and you develop with this young staff that we're working for, there's a lot of talent that we're going to see, especially, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see when the defensive front is put together, and you get to see that in the fall, the transition and the different change we're going to see from year 1 to year 2.
All right, and before we get out of here real quick, just a question that I have off the top of my head. Was there any recruiting going up or down whenever the transition from Randy Clements to Jake Thornton happened?
I think that there was, because I think in the fact that Jake Thornton was building a lot of relationships in different areas, and he's a young coach. And I think that's been one of the strongest recruiting techniques, whatever you want to call it, that has helped Ole Miss, because the staff that Kiffin has put together, they have ties in a lot of major areas, and they're young and they're fresh. And I think that when Thornton, he's a go-getter, just like Joyner's a go-getter. Because look at in the short amount of time what Joyner's able to do. I mean, you're talking big 3-star, 4-star, 5-star kids that are hard commits, everything, but they're thinking about Ole Miss is on their mind, even though they're committed to somewhere else. So that just goes to show that in certain months, in certain things, a lot can change, and a lot's going to change between here and fall visits. And we haven't really talked about that, but I think that that's going to be one of the strong selling points and kind of the ace in the hole for the Rebels to get those kids to experience game day. It's great when you come to Oxford in the summer and it's a really interesting experience, but when a kid can visualize and their family can see the atmosphere from the Grove to the stands to you can see yourself playing in that atmosphere, that's a selling point. And getting kids closer to the date that they actually have to sign instead of that all these months in between through the summer, that's going to be a strong selling point. And I'm going to be interested to see how recruitment will change when kids actually get to come experience fall in Oxford during a football game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. That was Leanne Herring. This has been your Rebel Walk recruiting show, and this has been number 2. They obviously liked it enough to keep us around. We're going to do this again. Also, look for us to come back either today or tomorrow, or tonight or tomorrow. If Jacarius Clayton commits to the good guys, talk a little bit about that as well with a Kidmit watch. But for Leanne Herring, I'm Stephen Willis, and of course, Hotty Toddy.